This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bockoven.
Yes, it is time for Nuclear Heat here on 93.7 The Ticket, our WWE Week in Review. That's right, we're talking pro wrestling. If you're not a pro wrestling fan, well, you might want to be. This is maybe one of the best premium live events we've had in a long time. The wrestling world is definitely talking after one of their heroes has now turned heel. So we got plenty to talk about in this show. We'll talk a little bit about what happened on Raw and SmackDown to close out the show. But really, this is about the Elimination Chamber and how it impacts what we see moving forward with WrestleMania. And let me say this. It's basically this huge bandage that we've been put on, because the last couple of weeks we've been talking. I don't know where the direction is for WrestleMania. I don't know if they've got a headliner. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like they've got it put together. They had an ace up their sleeve. They had this in their back pocket. So we don't have to bury it. If you haven't seen, it's everywhere, that John Cena turns heel on Cody with The Rock's approval. Travis Scott was there too for some reason. And ultimately, Cena, John Cena, the lifelong good guy, has now finally turned heel for his final run in his chance to win that 17th championship at WrestleMania. So that was kind of the big story. But, I mean, this show was loaded. You had Randy Orton's return. You had Jade Cargill's return. You just had several good matches. An unsanctioned match between KO and Sammy was fantastic. Of course, men's and women's Elimination Chamber matches. So before we get into the details there, has your faith in Triple H and the booking over there at WWE, is it better now? Is there a little bit more excitement for this WrestleMania?
Oh, 100%. And that's something I think we said last week too, is got to be patient, as a WWE fan, because they normally do this. But just the show they put on last night, we talked, a little bit about it beforehand. Only one match you could really say was, just kind of for the fans there. But other than that, it was a very solid show. And, we were talking about the road to WrestleMania being very murky. And now, I mean, you see a lot of the plan. There's still some some decisions you're kind of like, all right, we'll see what they do here. We'll see how they work it. But I mean, that John Cena, I didn't see that coming. I thought it was going to be, what he did to CM, what happened to CM Punk. I thought Punk was going to be the one. I just did not expect it to be John Cena. And, to be scrolling through social media today and seeing those 10, 8, 9-year-olds crying in their Cena gear because their hero, finally did it, turned heel for the first time since 2003. It's great. It's a really fun time to be a wrestling fan right now. And, we'll just see, does he go back to the Doctor of Thugonomics, or is this like a peacemaker, from his show, you got to call it a superhero, but I don't know if Peacemaker can really be a superhero because, he kind of goes between the line, but, will it be like that? I mean, it's a lot, and it's really fun. And, now we get to enjoy these next 6 weeks to see what he does as a heel.
Yeah. It's different. And you could maybe say the Doctor of Thugonomics maybe was heelish tendencies at times, but the crowd was just so behind it. Yeah. It was hard to convince anybody. And there's just these characters that work as baby faces that are never turned heel. And, he got to a point to where just merchandise sales and popularity and all that, is like, it never made sense to turn him. And this close to the end, you just thought you would never see it. And so, what happened the other night, very reminiscent. A lot of people comparing it to Hulk Hogan joining NWO and turning heel, because it's a similar thing. You're like 17, 15 years or 2 decades of, this is the good, not just a good guy, the good guy, the face of WWE for so long, and finally makes that turn. And I was trying to think about some of the best turns ever, and I was like, well, maybe, Rollins turning on the Shield, that would be definitely up there. But again, as much as I'd like that one and think that one's going to be up there at an all-time high, it just doesn't have that backstory of, this guy's not going to turn heel. This guy's never turned heel in such a long time in doing it. So that was the shocking part. it's kind of interesting how they got there, right? I mean, it was for The Rock to ask for Cody's soul, somewhat start to befriend him when they had at one time, before WrestleMania last year, been beating the blood out of each other and all that. So it was kind of weird. It's like, I don't really see where this is going. And eventually it landed in a perfect spot.
Oh, it really did. And man, there were so many heel tendencies. I think we discussed that a couple weeks ago. After he didn't win the Royal Rumble, he said it's best for business. That I'm inserting myself into this. I'm going to win. It's best for business that I get this 17th. And then we'll talk about it. But how he won, the limit. I mean, how this all came about. That's not what John Cena would do. Would not take advantage of somebody like that. He would wait and do all that stuff. And so everything just kind of, falling into place. And I don't know if you caught it, but he actually did an interview, I think 2 days ago. And they were talking about his heel turn. They were like, he was supposed to do it when he and The Rock had their first feud. He made a new theme song, all that stuff. They were going to do it and they just never did. So now everybody's like, hey, that theme song, can now be used for this. So there's just a lot of things that can happen. And I mean, I'll say this, John Cena, whether he's your one or your two of all time wrestlers, I would say just impact of what he's done. He's probably number one, right? On most people's list. Like you said, he's got 10 more months and he's going to be a heel. That's just shocking. That's shocking because he's always as The Rock said, the Fruity Pebble looking, just comes out in all those colors. He's does 100, so many Make-A-Wishes, just does all that.
Never give up, just the messaging behind it all.
And now it's gonna be the total opposite of that.
The question is, does heel Cena wear George still?
Oh, I saw somebody put, is heel Cena gonna start wearing full jeans now?
Yeah.
And that's funny. Shave his head back. Kind of do that. I don't know. There's a lot of things they can do there. I just think it's fantastic booking, and it makes sense because Cena is, I would say he's an A-lister in Hollywood too, right? He is, but I'd say some of his movies have kind of bombed recently, and they can go off of the fact that, hey, The Rock, while The Rock's movies have kind of bombed too, he's, I'd say, one of the top, actors as well. Yeah, the A-lister, and John Cena's trying to do that too, so it all ties into what they're doing. The only thing, that would hurt you as a Cena fan is this is what John Cena and The Rock feuded, 15, 12 years ago, was the fact that The Rock turned his back, went to Hollywood, became, now John Cena's done it and sold his soul to The Rock. So it all just 12, 13 years of storytelling is now just unfolding. So I'm curious to see just past WrestleMania now, right? So he's going to be wrestling for The Rock to be his champion. We're going to get one last feud between The Rock and Cena, because I don't think Cena's going to go out as a heel for his last show, right? I think they'll eventually turn him back. They've done some things here now that I'm not just excited for WrestleMania. I'm looking beyond that for this storyline.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, there's things that they're kind of planning in here that kind of do make sense. Whether you're concerned about seeing Cena on Raw and SmackDown and all these stuff, and maybe he hasn't shown up all that much for his farewell tour.
Yeah.
And so, it could kind of all play into The Rock. That's what he's telling Cody. It's like, I'll make you the next big star out of WWE in Hollywood. I'll turn you into that guy. And basically, it's just kind of showing that Cena took that offer up, and already obviously is part of Hollywood and all that. But so it might make sense now for Cena and Rock as together to miss more of these shows, maybe still kind of send some messaging promo or something like that. But it's going to be fascinating. I'm glad you mentioned that too, is because it's going to extend beyond WrestleMania. So the whole thing is exciting one way or the other. Cena going for history was like, okay, I'm not even that huge of a Cena fan, to be honest with you, just because it's the Super Cena era where he just always won everything. And it was like, all right, well, it's kind of hard to cheer for anybody because Cena always buries him in the end. But so the ending was still going to be like, man, we're still going to see history, or potentially see history being made with this final run. So when they started acknowledging the 17th championship and all that, which, if you're not aware, he's tied with Ric Flair for 16 titles in his history there. So he's going for the new all-time record. It just felt like, okay, I'll enjoy it because it's the last ride, but it felt kind of like paint by numbers. We're just kind of get there and we know what to expect from Cena, and just see who the opponents are going to be. Now, to your point, like, how is he going to turn face again? Is he going to win when he's a face? Because I'll say this, and this is as interesting as it's going to get because this is now got to be the main event of WrestleMania Sunday night. Is there any chance Cena wins as heel to close out on Cody? It's hard to imagine it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of worried about is they're not going to give it to him. And I think, the thought was always give it to him at WrestleMania, right? Everything he's done, like I said, probably their top, guy. Just everything he's done outside of wrestling for them as well. You feel like you'd give it to him on the biggest stage of all time. And now, it's like, oh, they might not do that. There might be a swerve, he might not get it until SummerSlam, something like that. And so now it really, like you said, you kind of thought it was paint by the numbers. Now anything goes, at the same time, Cody, this is something really good for him because we've talked about it. We thought his title reign was kind of average, maybe a little bit above average. Now he's going against heel Cena. That's something we've never seen. They just sparked life into everything. I've seen it on social media, everything. They're like, this saved what was looking like maybe a B minus, WrestleMania turned it into an A plus. The only thing I'll say, they didn't need Travis Scott there, right? I don't get that. This would have been the perfect segment. 10 out of 10, 5 stars. And I'd say it's still 4.9. But Travis Scott getting involved in all that stuff, that just to me didn't make sense.
It definitely, they knew this was going to blow up, as much as it can in wrestling.
Yeah.
And Travis Scott obviously helps you kind of get to that next step of, not only, if you don't watch wrestling, like, okay, well, Travis Scott was involved in whatever all these wrestling people are talking about. Let me check it out. But I'll agree with you. Like, this is the best that wrestling's been. Again, maybe one of the best storylines. And obviously it continues the whole, Roman Reigns, Cody storyline that they've been doing, and you were wondering if they were going to be able to take it up another level, and they sure have. But I agree. He didn't add a whole lot.
Yeah, no, he didn't. And I'll say this for me, because I'm thinking about this for you. If you had to explain this type of a turn, The Rock joining or John Cena joining The Rock, how would you explain it in another sports term outside of wrestling?
Yeah, it's hard. It's almost like the Yankees allowing their players to grow beards. No, they're doing that now. But I don't know. You kind of think, because they've had their rivalry, but it's almost not even just just joining up the Rock. It's just heel Cena just turning. So it's just I'm glad you pointed that out. But I guess it's just whenever we see the flaws in our heroes and whoever that might be, I guess. So go through your times in sports and seeing somebody that you once thought was untouchable and become human. That's kind of where Cena is now.
And you want to know the number one thing that came to my mind? Kevin Durant joining that 72 win Warriors team, leaving, being the beloved Oklahoma City guy, the next up and coming star, taking the easy way out to get his rings, his titles. That blew up the sports world, right? Back in 2016 when it happened, or 17, that's the equivalent to this for me, Another thing would be, if, like you kind of said it, if a Yankees player would have joined the Red Sox, in their prime, just something like that. But this is massive, like I can't remember. I always loved doing this show, right? But I can't remember the last time I was like, man, I just really can't wait, until it's 9 p.m. to just sit and talk about this because, I don't have as many people in my life that I can kind of, talk about this outside of you and, the listeners that we have now. So this is a really fun time to just be able to come out here and just kind of talk about it, just be excited and just, have people listen and just talk about it with you.
Well, and again, there are a lot of people that watched wrestling as a kid and kind of grew away from it. I understand. But this is, if you're out there listening and thinking, well, what are they talking about? I'd buy Peacocks like $7 or $8 a month. Go watch Elimination Chamber. And it's the best of what wrestling has presented. And, don't expect that week in and week out from every show you're going to watch. But it's warmed up. It's exciting. And again, it completely flips from where we were saying, I just don't know, because if CM Punk would have won the Chamber and go against Cody, like that's a really good match and a dream match. But I don't know if it's Sunday night big, following. And the biggest thing again is following last year's WrestleMania, where it's like, man, that was just so great. How are they going to try to one up that? And it just felt like at a certain point, The Rock wasn't going to go. And how are they, so that wasn't going to quite do it. Face Cena versus face Cody would have been okay. But again, then you'd have odd cheering interest and not really knowing exactly which way to go there. And so a lot of people thought if anybody's going to turn at some point, it'd be Cody because Cena will just never turn. So maybe that would make Cody more interesting, but he's their top guy. So there's an appeal to those, but that's what we talked about too with a lot of these matches. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte, for example, is going to be a great match, something that we would book as a WrestleMania match. But then there's the important context of why do we care?
Yeah.
Yes, you've got the characters; those are the people we want to see. But is there a blood feud behind it? We saw it with KO and Sammy, how important it is to really have some rooting interest and some story behind it. And they certainly have that now. The only thing is now it kind of overshadows some of those other matches. And there's still some work to be done. Bianca Belair wins the Elimination Chamber. She's going to go on to take on Rhea Ripley or Io Sky if Io Sky wins tomorrow, but more than likely Rhea Ripley. And that's great for her career and all that, but they're gonna have to take, you got to find a way to make me more invested, make those two hate each other, make something out of it. And it's also going to, because it's so much better. I mean, these belts are not supposed to be all that different, right? The Gunther and Jey Uso match is going to be it further hurts the fact that they went with that decision. In my mind, and Jey Uso is widely over. People like it. People enjoy it. It just, as comparison to what you're going to have on Sunday night or with the other top belt. And I'm just glad, I'm at least glad they didn't ever send Cena after that belt, because that would have felt like, this is the secondary title belt.
Yeah. And man, I didn't even think about that. Just everything that's happened. But this Gunther Jey feud, unless they mix it up, add somebody, do something special there. It's, there's not much to really be behind it now. And the other thing we kind of forget about is with John doing this, with Cena going heel, winning the Chamber, you got to remember, it's looking like Seth Rollins and CM Punk for WrestleMania, right? Mm-hmm. But CM Punk still has that favor with Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
So that's why everybody thought it'd be him getting into a title match, because we all know CM Punk's ultimate dream mission is to main event WrestleMania for a title. Right now, he's not in that. So then you look at it, there's still that to drop, like you said, with the Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. We kind of talked a little bit before, behind the scenes. We're a little iffy on that one because now she's got the storyline of Jade Cargill and Naomi, so there's a lot going on. And then going back to the John Cena thing, it's also mind-blowing because last year that main event was phenomenal. John Cena came in to help Cody Rhodes beat the Bloodline, and now he's siding with. It's just so much has happened, just a whole year of just great storytelling. And this is why, when we talk and we, we're always a little disappointed, we're kind of like, we're not sure. They're always telling these long-term storylines. They do hit some bumps, some lows, but eventually once it kind of comes to, then we're like, all right, we're in, and we're there. So this it's just a really fun time. And, as you keep saying, for our listeners, if you haven't watched it, catch up on it, because what they did last year, they've got to try to top that every year. And if they do, WrestleMania, the story, the road is just always going to be phenomenal. And I think this year, heel Cena, I think we got something cooking there.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Let's jump into a little bit of how all this went down. We started with Toronto booing the American national anthem, so immediately something there. But then we get to Elimination Chamber. Alexa Bliss music hits and we get rolling. She was not one of the first participants. In fact, it was Naomi and Liv Morgan to start the match. Naomi never really got the match going, though. Jade Cargill comes out. She was taken out by surprise attackers, thought as of late to include Liv Morgan. So the whole idea was Jade Cargill was coming to attack Liv Morgan. But when she gets to the ring, she instead brutally attacks Naomi to the point that Naomi can't even fight. So she is eliminated from the chamber before it begins. Bianca Belair is pleading from inside the pod for something to stop here. So from there, it did not look like Bianca Belair was going to have much of a chance tonight, because it looked like, okay, well, her story is kind of set in motion. Is she going to be too distracted? Whatever it might be, you kind of have an out there. But she just kind of stayed alive. So Belair entered the pod after that. Then we had Perez, Bayley, and Bliss as the order of entry. Bayley was eliminated first, then Roxanne, Perez, and we had our final three. Liv Morgan actually eliminated Alexa Bliss, who I thought was probably, right up there as one of the favorites at this point. And she also eliminated her for Royal Rumble. So I'd look for something between Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss moving forward. But ultimately, it was EST, Bianca Belair, and Liv Morgan. Great fight between both of them. The hair whip was a big spot on Liv Morgan. Liv had already used the hair to her benefit earlier in the match. So it was just really nice. But ultimately, KOD for pin in the win for Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair now set up again against the Rhea Ripley or Io Sky winner tomorrow night. Rhea Ripley would be, in all likelihood, the one to move forward with that. But as we kind of talked about it, we can hit on a little bit more here. Just kind of interesting because Bianca Belair does have the Jade Cargill and Naomi thing to kind of iron out. And you wonder if they're with, turning our attention on Rhea, if that's going to be more of a Cargill Naomi thing, which is fine, but then it just doesn't have quite the star power and, with your veteran and Bianca Belair.
Yeah. And it's a little confusing because if you really watch it, right, when Jade's walking in to the chamber to attack, Liv is kind of pleading, right? Liv's doing a great job of being scared. Naomi's like relaxed, like, okay, she's going to take out Liv. If you notice right away, Bianca takes off her jacket, like she's ready, right? And you can see Jade as she's walking in, you see her say something to Liv. If you see it, she says, "I know it wasn't you." And then she attacks Naomi. And then I'm going to tell you the truth. I think it was Bianca. I think she had something to do with it. Naomi, I mean, just the way it was acted out and everything like that. And that's where it's very confusing as to why they would give her the win. Because, she's going to be involved in this storyline. She's going to be involved with Rhea. She might be doing, each show, things like that. But yeah, this is the one thing I was kind of like, I maybe don't get the direction they're going in unless it is just clearly Naomi, and they just go with that storyline. But as you said, I think you need Bianca because everybody's been calling for the last year, Bianca Jade having a split and them, having their match at WrestleMania. With that. So I'm a little curious, but if we do get Bianca, Rhea Ripley, that's going to be a little tough too, because that is also babyface versus face. Two of the most, I'd say, popular, two of the better wrestlers. So they're going to put on great matches. But other than going for gold, what do they really have, at stake? When you're building at WrestleMania, there's normally something personal behind it. You've really built something up. And this one just kind of doesn't really feel like that at the moment.
Yeah. I think Belair and Ripley, you can, without knowing any booking, you can set that in for a WrestleMania match and think, yes, that'd be a great, women's title match. But like you said, there's just not the story, the layers behind it. Maybe Belair, like you said, maybe that is like, there's no way Rhea Ripley is turning heel at this point. Of course, John Cena did, so maybe there's no way. But Bianca Belair maybe ends up being the heel going into that, and that could follow along those lines. Then you just kind of wonder, well, but why does Rhea Ripley care what happened with that group? And so we'll have to see. They might just do the good guys thing. I mean, Jey Uso was trying to help out Tozawa for some reason the other night. So sometimes the good guys just are there for the good, for everybody. And stick up for everybody.
It's just a little weird, when they do that, going into WrestleMania, like you said, we want to really care about it. And another thing I'll say, I know I kept saying I do not want Liv Morgan, didn't want her to win. She put on a fantastic Elimination Chamber.
She was great.
She's
up there for just
once they took away her title and put her back into not the scared babe, champ. They put her back into that, Liv mode or whatever. She's phenomenal. The biggest disservice they did to her was made her into that, coward champion, things like that. But one-on-one, man, she is just great. This is like the third year in a row. I think she's like the MVP of the Elimination Chamber. When it came down to her and Bianca, I actually was like, okay, I can do another, feud between Liv and Rhea because I thought Liv deserved it a little bit more than Bianca did at that point.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would probably like to see Liv Morgan there, but she did win the tag team belts on SmackDown. So also that was kind of messaging to us like typically you don't have two belts. You're not a tag team and number one's contender. So it was kind of interesting just the way the week played out. But I would have liked probably to see Liv again or Alexa Bliss win this one. Not upset with Bianca Belair because again it can make a great match. Just want to see a story come out of it that will be entertaining. Also a little bit disappointed that Bliss, we still haven't seen any magic yet or anything with the Wyatt Six.
But if you did see when they cut it at one point in that match, I think you did have the Flash, and then was it Bray that they put something weird up there. I don't know if it was Uncle Howdy or I don't know if I missed it or not, but it was somebody in a mask, right?
They've been flashing some sort of stuff up.
So she's going to do that. But yeah, now you're curious because she really hasn't had she hasn't had a feud with anybody yet.
Yeah.
Other than the tease of the Wyatt Six, she hasn't really cut promos that often either. She's just really showing up for matches.
How about Wyatt Six and Judgment Day? I mean, again, Liv seems to have something going with her, but that would take the attention off the tag team belt.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. Unless it's Liv and Nikki, or not Liv and Nikki, Alexa and Nikki, whose sister Abigail, I want to say in this. With that, I don't know. They could do that. It could be interesting. I think that was something that needed to happen earlier. They needed to maybe, plant the seeds for that because you've got 6 weeks. You've got 6 weeks to really do something. But I think that could be a fun little story to do there. And the one nitpicky thing I'm going to say, I know Sister Abigail is supposed to be a great finisher. Every time Liv goes to do it, it's like she doesn't do anything to the opponent. The opponent is just kind of stunned.
Just laying,
and then she just does it. It's like there's nothing. I don't know. That's been weird to me.
A kick to the gut or something.
Yeah. But there's nothing. It's literally the opponent can be energized, all high. Can do this. As soon as she gets her in the post, she just kind of sits there with her, and opponent's like and then gets hit with it, and you're just kind of like, that's not as believable as it should be. I don't know. That's just the one nitpicky thing I'd say about it. But other than that, I think she looks phenomenal back in her return.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. It's going to be, I mean, if she does, and it looks like all indications that she's going to try to revive the Wyatt Six. That's a big ask.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to see if they have all the same characters, have the same look, or if they're gonna go ahead and move off that a little bit because they've been off TV for a while.
Yeah.
While promoting this kind of Liv Morgan flash up stuff. So we'll see. All right, let's take not Liv Morgan, sorry, Alexa Bliss. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more Elimination Chamber talk here on 93.7 The Ticket on Nuclear Heat.
If you're a veteran, our nation has created a wide range of benefits to thank you for your service. But it can be difficult to navigate the process of determining eligibility, filing claims, appealing decisions, and securing the benefits you've earned. Speak to your county veteran service officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. These services are 100% free. So visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Psst. You know what's better than waking up early to go to the airport? Sleeping in. Lucky for you, the lines at the Lincoln Airport are so short and our service is so fast. You won't need to sacrifice precious beauty sleep to get here hours before your flight. So, go ahead, sleep in. You deserve it, and choose the airport that helps you relax. LNK, make flying easy.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
In today's digital world, you can never be too cautious when it comes to your security. Cyber attacks are affecting more businesses every day. At Hamilton Business Technologies, we understand the stress and impact a cyber attack can have, not just on your bottom line, but on your ability to serve your customers and protect their trust. That's why we are passionate about safeguarding your business. From real-time threat monitoring to advanced security protocols, we help keep your data safe, allowing you to focus on what matters most. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Connect with us at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Lincoln's go-to for fun isn't new. It's a place that's been a staple of the city for years and is only getting better. Matson's Bowling and Billiards always has open bowling available with no long lines, unlike other centers. They have live music almost every weekend and great food at EJ's Bar and Lounge, with seating for 150 people. They have popular meals like the EJ Burger, pizza for the whole family, and famous EJ's Wings. Contact Sarah to book a party for friends, coworkers, or family at Matson's Bowling and Billiards, just south of 48th and Holdridge.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Patriot Plumbing at 402-464-7411 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-464-7411.
Midwest Bank is proud to be your local community bank right here in Lincoln. This is Abby with Midwest Bank. Stop by our new location at 70th and Pioneers. Our new full-service branch does it all. From our friendly staff to our easy online banking and mobile app, you get all the technology of a big bank that you need, but you still get the hometown customer service that you want. Your community, your bank. Midwest Bank. Learn more at midwest.bank. Member FDIC.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are indeed back here on Nuclear Heat talking some pro wrestling, specifically the Elimination Chamber, which was fantastic Saturday. We talked all about the Women's Elimination Chamber as we move down the card. Let's get into Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Of course, this was a feud that had been building up between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax and Candice LeRae for months and months before Tiffany Stratton even got the belt. And then we've kind of just introduced Trish Stratus as a Canadian star and legend, and she kind of took over this feud. So it was an enjoyable enough match. Stratton picks up the win by hitting the prettiest moonsault ever on Nia Jax. It just felt like they never really got to that feud. The Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, as we're talking about, blood feuds. It felt like they had built that up, and then they just kind of dance around it with, this or that, and eventually getting Trish Stratus here. So while it was good for Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus to get the win, get the home crowd going, and get some momentum for Tiffany Stratton, just didn't feel like they ever really paid off on what should have been a good feud between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax.
No, not at all. It felt really weird, right? It felt really rushed. It was just for that crowd. And I got to say this, I thought that crowd was pretty poor for this being, they were spoiled. This was a great Elimination Chamber. And I felt like there wasn't the overseas pop, right? That maybe they should have been giving for that. It's always weird because Nia Jax and Candice LeRae, it's like they're pushing them, right? Pushing them to be a great heel tag team. it just doesn't feel that way either, right? It feels like Nia Jax carries, and Candice LeRae, while she's not bad, she's the WWE Speed Champion, which is supposed to mean something. She just doesn't feel like she belongs with Nia Jax.
That star power.
That star power with Trish and Tiffy coming up to that as well. It just always felt like it was anchored down, and then it just, on SmackDown they were both laid out the weekend before, laid out, just kind of really, really sloppy. Just, they knew this was just okay, we're just going to have Tiffany on this card, Trish on this card. Here you go. Whereas, like you said, Tiffy and Nia really have a blood feud. Tiffany cashed in on her,
her former partner.
And it, they've had their interactions, but it's always come with Candice LeRae interfere, somebody interferes. It's never just been them one-on-one. This could have been the opportunity for that with Trish status, maybe, in her corner, whatever, kind of like she was. It just, this was, I hate to say it, if there was a popcorn match of the night, it was probably this one.
Yeah, it definitely was. And that's partially because the other matches were just fantastic. But this one, just kind of a showcase for Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus to celebrate Trish Stratus and her 25 years in WWE. Do you think we see Trish anymore moving forward, or is that was kind of for the Canadian crowd?
I think it was just probably for the Canadian crowd on there. I'm surprised Natalie wasn't, a part of it, because she's from there. They always tout her on there. I think it could be beneficial to have her around, kind of Tiffany, try to give her a little bit of that rub, kind of help her with the whole Charlotte thing. Because once again, Tiffany's just been flattened by Charlotte, or just it's not looking great, the build up for this.
And that's what we could see is perhaps Charlotte take out Trish Stratus.
Yeah.
And then maybe would kind of get some heat going.
Added on there. Yeah. But I got to say this. I don't know who's in charge of wardrobe for WWE, but the Trish Stratus Tiffany wardrobe that they wore Friday night on SmackDown and then yesterday, you can tell WWE is going away from that PG era and they're kind of going back to, maybe kind of like a diva, because I'll tell you what, their outfits they were just a little too risque, and even I was like, kind of pushing the boundary there, right? For being on USA Network and then Peacock, which is still supposedly supposed to be a family friendly show, right? Which we saw in also the main event.
Yeah,
they're kind of letting things fly, which I enjoy, to a point as well. But yeah, I was a little like, watching with, I was like, I probably shouldn't, watch this point, kind of doing stuff like that. With that. But other than that, they got to do something for Tiffany moving forward here, because she just seems like she won this one, kind of a throwaway feud, like you said, but they need something better for her to be built up for this against Charlotte, because Charlotte just kind of having her way with her in a way without even wrestling her, it just, Tiffany's getting laid out and Charlotte's always just above her, just, pointing at the WrestleMania sign. I don't think that's great for your champion.
Well, now that Tiffany at least won this one and did pin Nia Jax, hopefully they can move off that. Obviously, the last couple of weeks, that's been, when we talk about paint by the numbers, that's exactly how a hero is booked right before they're going to win in a premium live event.
Yep.
Is get beaten down a couple times. Let's get to the unsanctioned match between KO, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. The lights were turned down a little bit in the arena. The referees were not wearing the normal referee gear. And I say multiple referees because there were several of them in this match. So it was good. The unsanctioned portion of it, I thought they followed through with. Zayn was selling an injured neck throughout the match, so that was kind of a big part. But, there was chairs, hockey sticks, stacked tables.
Yeah.
They went into the crowd. Eventually had a chair wrapped in barbed wire that Kevin Owens was taking some big spots on. Power bomb to the apron, going back to NXT days between KO and Sami Zayn. So just a lot of great storytelling, even with the Cena heel turn at the end, which was just fantastic. I know a lot of people are still going to say this is the match of the night because you can throw those two together and have a great match. All that to be was great until the certain point at the end, which we even made it even better, which is that Owens eventually pins Sami Zayn and then goes after him post match, only for Randy Orton's music to hit. Of course, KO took out Randy Orton earlier in the year. This is his return. Orton hits an RKO and then positions KO for the punt, which has been a long time since we've seen the punt from Randy Orton. KO rolls out, but that might highlight what we have moving forward. Talk about a blood feud between KO and Sami Zayn. I'm interested to see if they're going to position or find something for Sami Zayn to do at WrestleMania, but it looks like KO and Randy Orton certainly have a lot of heat behind their upcoming match, which I think will go into WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, and this is phenomenal. This is what you want them to let wrestlers do at times, right? Just go out and just have these bangers. A lot of times it's just like you said, kind of paint by the numbers, whatever. But let them have a match like this. And I thought an also cool design of this was, I don't know if you noticed, the rope around the ring was also black. So they really went with the whole unsanctioned, whatever happens here, it doesn't count. Or it's not, whatever through the WWE and that stuff. But man, what a phenomenal match. I just thought both of these guys, you got to give them their flowers. I know at times we say Sami Zayn is kind of overbooked, underbooked, but this guy will put his body on the line for anything and for everything. And he does it for the fans, right? He does it to be recognized there. And Kevin Owens as a heel, just phenomenal. Like you said, this was probably 10 out of 10 as a match. And then Randy Orton comes out. I was so excited. I thought we were going to see that punt.
Oh yeah.
I was ready for it. And man, it just seems like it's going to be something, Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, WrestleMania. I'm just super excited for that. And with Sami Zayn, I mean, you could have him kind of entered into this. I don't think this was really the end of that. I don't think it'll ever be the end of Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. I don't know if they're kind of writing him off of TV right now for the moment, but I think he's done enough that you've got to put him somewhere on the card, right? Whether it's kind of a throwaway match behind Randy Orton, maybe he's not cleared, but he's behind Randy Orton. Something to just kind of keep him there because, round of applause. He took, just he's taking a lot of bumps.
Like you said, Kevin Owens is very much the same as well. They're kind of the modern day Mick Foleys. They would just go through hell to 100%. The crowd.
And Kevin Owens' eye was getting puffy, when Randy Orton was walking. I mean, it's scripted, but you can't say it's fake all the time, right? Like it is, the mat can support their bodies, but man, when they get hit with certain things, they get hit, and accidents happen, things like that. They really took it to each other.
One critique I did see was that earlier in the night they showed Kevin Owens going in the backstage and just grabbing weapons and getting ready for the match. And then he never brought him out there, so that was kind of odd. But that's a small detail that I can forgive. It's not that big of a deal. I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, the one thing I also say, I was ready because they mentioned Chris Jericho.
They did.
They were mentioning names like that. They mentioned Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Kevin Steen and I don't remember what Sami Zayn is, but he was a luchador.
Yeah,
I don't know if a lot of people knew that.
El Generico.
Yeah. I was ready for the thumbtack bag, to just come out in the middle and that, or for somebody to set a table on fire. I was like, hey, they're kind of pushing the boundaries. I was like, maybe they'll bring that back, but I was perfectly satisfied with this. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, WrestleMania. If they're going down that route,
hopefully it's like
this is what they need to let them do because they let Drew and Punk kind of do it right to where CM Punk said he almost died from it. That's a feud that I think they laid a blueprint. We're going to be spoiled. We want it. That's exactly how that one should go.
We'll talk a little bit about that. It does look like Punk and Rollins are going to be going at it. Got to figure Roman Reigns will be into that mix as well. So still something to find for Roman Reigns. I think we assume that's going to be it, but still some work to do to set that feud up or really just his involvement in that feud. But let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll wrap things up talking about the men's Elimination Chamber match. And I'll probably give a shout out to Ludwig Kaiser. Got a victory this week too. We'll do that next on Nuclear Heat.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at doorsplusllc.com or give them a call at 402-590-5800.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
A new year means it's time to try new things. If you haven't tried Fierce Cheese Spread yet, the time is now. For the days you don't want to go to the gym, don't worry. Fierce Cheese Spread is there to cheer you up. And for the days you do get to the gym, why not celebrate when you get back with the best dip around? Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Fierce Cheese Spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
What's your radon level at home? Don't know? Find out with a call to Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating, 467-1111 for radon testing and mitigation.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on Nuclear Heat with one final segment reviewing the men's Elimination Chamber and the wrap-up of the Elimination Chamber Premium Live event all together. Once again, this is Nuclear Heat. We do this show every Sunday night from 9 to 10. So very excited to do it. As we've mentioned, if you haven't been watching wrestling, now is a good time to jump in because this Elimination Chamber was a heck of a Premium Live event, or pay-per-view as it used to be called. So the men's Elimination Chamber began with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins in it, followed by Damian Priest, Logan Paul, John Cena, and CM Punk. I feel like they need the Royal Rumble type statistics we had in here. They don't do that for the Elimination Chamber. I'd like to know how often does the third pod guy win? You know?
That'd be a little bit interesting. And a lot of guys, they did do like the side segment thing, that showed like, what was it, John Cena? Cena, I think, ties now Triple H for the most Elimination Chamber wins, because I think he was second. And it did have a cool graphic, but yeah, I think that would have been cool to see certain things on that. But I think when there's only 6 contestants, I think it's a little hard to do on that. But I thought they did, like I said, pretty good on the side. If you were paying attention and watched it, they did say when's the last time they competed, how they've done, how many times. So I thought that was a pretty good thing. But we got to remember, I also wasn't really a fan of that highlight thing there.
That's right.
Because my subtitles, because I'm a little deaf in there and I like to read things too. My subtitles got in front of that. So I prefer it on the side a little bit more than underneath.
I'd just like to know, because, it usually is a big deal to get that last entry.
Yeah.
How often that actually turns into the victory. But maybe we'll get that. I'll send in a letter. Anyways, Drew McIntyre, there's a lot of star power in this. So it kind of happened pretty quickly. So Drew McIntyre got eliminated first. Logan Paul then hits the frog splash from the top of the pod on Damian Priest to eliminate him. Punk then hits Paul with a go to sleep and pins him. So we have Punk, Cena, and Rollins for the final three. Probably the right final three to go about here. Although it always just makes me feel sad for Drew McIntyre because he's so good at talking and getting you buying into his story. And he's always just kind of story B for whatever's going on that night.
But I think this was great because of the storyline that they're going to probably have heading into WrestleMania, for him on there. And I mean, it's funny because, like you said, he's like the company whiner, right? The complainer. And then he's the first one eliminated by Damian Priest. And then he's the reason Damian Priest got eliminated by Logan Paul, so it's kind of beautiful storytelling. But Damian Priest, also one of the guys, hardest workers, great on the mic. He's the first guy eliminated. I mean, I didn't expect that. I'm not going to lie to you. The whole time I was saying, please, Logan Paul be the first one eliminated. Just get him out. I can't stand the guy anymore. I think he's kind of overstayed his welcome in the WWE.
He's full time now.
On there. Yeah, I know, but
the crowd hated him too, which again can be used to your benefit.
Yeah,
you like heat on a guy.
Well, and he's put this in a non-political term. He's very American, which we all are, right? But he's very American at the moment. And he really played up that against that Canadian crowd, which I think was great. So he's got good things. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just seeing a different side of him, in real life and things like that. But he's great in the ring. I just don't think he's good at talking, and he just felt very out of place in this Elimination Chamber match. And they've said it. They said it multiple times. He's the one guy out of the 6 that had not been a world champion before.
Yeah.
So he had that going against him. But going back to Drew, I was like, no, I was like, there's no way Drew McIntyre's being the first. And then he was eliminated first.
Yeah.
He claymored Damian Priest while he was eliminated, which kind of like the Royal Rumble irks me when there can be interference, from somebody eliminated to do something like that. But it made for a beautiful ending in it, right?
Yeah. It worked out. And like you said, it's probably going to be McIntyre and Priest at WrestleMania. Okay. They just don't really have anything else for him. So it's a good matchup for them to have. Yeah. And by the way, part of the reason why they hated Logan Paul too is because he hit John Cena's music and came out to it on SmackDown. So they really did a good job, at least, of making him the villain. But in any case, so it comes down to those three. Punk and Cena embrace for a little bit. Ultimately, Punk and Cena both hit their finishes on Rollins and pin him. But then Rollins hits Punk with the stomp before leaving. You mentioned it earlier in the evening. Cena actually capitalized on that, where maybe, like a face Cena wouldn't typically do that. And locks up Punk and makes him pass out to the STF. So obviously, again, Cena is now the Royal Rumble winner, or excuse me, the Elimination Chamber winner, and will go on to take on Cody. So Cody comes out. Looks like, just kind of looking at that, and then The Rock comes out. So as it's been advertised, we knew The Rock was gonna come head to head with Cody. We did not know that Cena was going to be in the ring with him. We didn't know Travis Scott was going to be in the ring with him. But in any case, The Rock and Travis Scott come down into the ring, ask for Cody's soul. Basically, Cody said he already had given his soul to the business and the fans, and he told The Rock to go bleep himself, and there was no bleep. So the crowd, that's interesting. There's all sorts of opinions on that. It almost, because of what happened after that, we don't think too much about it. But it's tough. You've got to use they throw out words a lot, curse words to make them sound tough. At least you hold on to this one to not use it very often. And so when it was said, it was like, oh man, that was crazy. So even there, I was thinking, oh my goodness, what is going to happen next? Still didn't envision ultimately what happened, which again, Cena hugs Cody, embraces him, then gets the signal from The Rock, and The Rock holding up 2 fingers now. He's held up 3 in the past. This is 2. So there's all still sorts of ideas of what that means. But ultimately, then Cena low blows Cody, turns heel, continues to beat him till the end of the show. And here we are, perfectly set up for WrestleMania.
Yeah, and a very bloody Cody Rhodes. He hit him with the title. I don't know what Travis Scott was doing with his face.
Travis Scott really laid into him.
I saw angles. He
hit him pretty good.
He hit him pretty good. And people are saying, hey, this is what happens when you kind of let a non-wrestler get into a segment, right? Probably not with a lot of training, but man, like you said, I think the rule is kind of like in a movie. You can drop the F-bomb once or twice before you're you're hit with it's got to go up on the ratings. So I thought that was phenomenal. I just, like I mentioned before, I didn't see Cena turning heel. I thought it was Cena, because Cena, well, The Rock saying, or Cody saying all that to The Rock, Cena's in the background doing his good guy, pumping the air. Yeah, come on. Rock, take that.
Overly cartoonish.
Yeah,
Cena.
and then he gives him the hug, and you see that look on his face, and The Rock does it too. Like you said, we'll kind of get into that, but I just thought phenomenal. Just Travis Scott thing was weird. Like you said, they brought it in for the eyes, but all of that, and this just now just sets up a really fun time for us at WrestleMania. And I actually just saw during break, John Cena will be on Raw St. Patrick's Day, which is, I guess, when Cody's supposed to be. So I think that's when they're going to officially start their feud in another 2 weeks.
Okay, well, and tomorrow night we've got, again, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley at least, so that will be exciting. All indications be that Rhea Ripley wins that, but does Bianca get involved? What kind of plays out there? So a lot to figure out there. Real quickly, just going over Raw and SmackDown. Like I said, Ludwig Kaiser got a win against Penta and Pete Dunne. Even though I'm a big Ludwig Kaiser fan, I still think they needed to ride Penta.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to get. Looks like that's going to be the first feud. I think eliminating Pete Dunne from that would probably be good. He's done what he needed to do in that part. Ivy Nile attacked Lyra Valkyria after her match against Dakota Kai. So we know Ivy Nile and Lyra Valkyria now are lined up for the Intercontinental. Interestingly enough, Gunther took down Tozawa, so there's that. But Braun Breaker and Dom Mysterio, Judgment Day jumps in. And so you had a stare down between Finn Balor and Breaker. The only interesting part about that is it appeared that Braun Breaker was going to be set up with AJ Styles. Now Finn Balor maybe in that as well. So that's interesting moving forward. And then you had Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez win the tag team gold from Bianca Belair and Naomi. And then on SmackDown, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven in her full Canadian Mountie outfit came out to confront Tiffany Stratton, but they didn't want a match, but they got a match anyways between Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton. I thought my dreams were coming true. This is my dream match. Of course, it ends in a DQ. So we didn't really get the payoff for it because Jackson LeRae, like we said, needed to lay out Tiffany Stratton one final time before they got into it. And then SmackDown was just really, they had a number one contenders tournament that we could get into, but going into the night, the number one contender was LA Knight. And after this long tournament that was like 6 matches, LA Knight is still the number one contender. So I'm not sure there's a whole lot there.
Man, they are killing the momentum of Jacob Fatu that they've built. He's now lost 2 qualifying matches that I thought he could have been great in. It looks like they're really going for this solo Jacob, type of storyline at WrestleMania, which I just don't think is the right move for someone like Jacob on there. And it's just, I don't know. It's just very confusing.
Could be more for him.
Yeah. And I got to say this before we go on that with the whole Rock thing, the 2 fingers. You think he's going to add a couple more members to his crew there?
Maybe. Also interesting that nobody came out to help Cody. Because he ran out of friends. So
yeah. I mean, because he did the 1, 2, 3. Now, as you mentioned, he's doing 2.
Yeah.
Who else is going to come out and sell their soul, to win? Maybe win a title, do something, do it interesting, and they're kind of have a group with John Cena.
Or maybe it's just R-Truth. He was hanging out back at the
John R-Truth Twitter is the greatest thing. I don't know if you follow him on Twitter right now. He is in shambles that John Cena did that.
Oh no.
The John Cena mean mugging when he's hugging Cody.
Yeah.
Just a little bit ago, R-Truth posted it and said, "This is AI generated," and everyone's like, "I'm sorry, Truth. It's not. That is the great. Get R-Truth in that match. Just please have him be in there Monday Night Raw to react because." Man, that's beautiful. It's great storytelling.
That is going to be fun. I'm sure what they come up with for him. I'm not sure it's going to be a match at WrestleMania, but it'll
not
be
at all.
fun here in the next couple of weeks. Again, we got plenty more to react until we lead up to WrestleMania, so we'll review Raw and SmackDown as of this week. I always say it, my favorite shows of Raw and SmackDown are the ones immediately after the previous premium live event, so we know which way we're kind of headed with these feuds. And the feuds that we have now are going to line up right for WrestleMania. So again, great time to jump in on wrestling if you've been out of it. I want to thank Augie Pena for jumping in here with me, our Nuclear Heat contributor. I am Jake Bockoven, and again, we do this every week from 9 to 10, and we'll do it next week as well. That'll wrap it up for local programming tonight. We'll see you bright and early for early break.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing,